This drop that I shared in the previous update could be the start of a much bigger move on Bitcoin. Let me explain why in this very important update. So if you remember, in my previous update, Bitcoin was right there hovering around $68,000. And what I said was that I was holding on to my long position from $59,000 and I was not looking for short positions yet. What I wanted to see was a move up towards $69,600, and if we saw a reaction, this would offer a nice short position. And as you can see, we got the move up, we got the reaction, and that's why I opened a short position just around $69,200. So we got the drop and I updated the Discord again, and what I said was that we had a second short setup. And this was, in my opinion, that we would see a bounce towards $68,000 to see the rejection of this imbalance on the 1 hour chart, and then you would see a move lower, and my target was at least $65,300. So if I open the chart, my exact level was $65,390. So if I open the chart, as you can see, that's exactly what happened. We got the move up towards the hourly imbalance, we got the rejection, and we got the move down towards $65,300. If I go back on the Discord again, what I said when we got the move down was that we didn't have an imbalance at the lows yet, but then just 3 minutes later, we got the imbalance, and that's why I was looking for a bounce. So if I open the chart again, this purple imbalance represents an imbalance. And what happened? We got the bounce higher, I took the long position of course, implemented a quick take profit one, and today I'm still holding on to this long position. So at this point personally, I have a short from $69,100 and a long from $65,400. And that's why at this point I don't have to do anything. It's just a waiting game. However, with that said, what do I expect next? Will Bitcoin come back above these highs, or is this bounce just a corrective move before we see another move lower? And that's what I want to talk about in this update. So if we start on the higher time frames, the first very important thing to note is that Bitcoin is actually still in a downtrend. We have the first high, a lower high, lower highs, a lower high, and yet another lower high. And that's why this level at $69,600 that I shared in the previous update was so important. That's simply because it maintained this lower high structure on the higher time frames. And with that said, at least in my opinion, it doesn't really make sense to be extremely bullish and expect a new all-time high, as again Bitcoin is still in a downtrend. However, if we go on the lower time frames, we actually don't have a sign of weakness yet. What we have is a low, a higher low, another higher low, and yet again another higher low that was put in yesterday, and that was the level that I shared on the Discord as I just showed you. So with all of that said, personally, even though I am leaning bearish and expecting lower prices, we have to note that we don't have a sign of weakness yet. Of course, if Bitcoin comes back down and breaks below this low, then in this case it becomes another story. So again, personally, I am bearish on the higher time frames and expecting lower prices. However, as I showed you, I am sitting in a short position, but also in a long position. However, as usual, we cannot be blindly bearish. We have to outline important resistance and support levels. So if we start with the resistance levels, in my opinion, in this range, we have just one interesting level. And this would be the high of this 4-hour imbalance that comes in around $68,200. And also if I go back on the 1-hour chart and take the volume profile of this range, as you can see, we have the value area high that comes in as confluence with this level. So that's why, in my opinion, this area, pretty much around $68,500, is pretty important. Because if Bitcoin is able to come back up and break above this area, then it becomes pretty likely that it will break back above this high at $69,600. And honestly, that's the only thing I'm looking at to the upside. But personally, as I'm already sitting in a short position, if we see a reaction at this level, I will not be opening a new short position. And then to the downside, it's pretty simple in my opinion. If Bitcoin comes back down and breaks below this low, then in my opinion, it will also continue lower and break below this low, and my first target to the downside would be a fill of this hourly imbalance, so at $62,500. And if we break this very important level, we have a much bigger drop to come, again in my view, all the way back down towards $54,500. So with all of this in mind, I hope that at this point you realize the importance of the highs and the lows of this range. Because whichever level breaks first, in my opinion, it will offer a pretty aggressive continuation. If Bitcoin is able to come back up and break above this high, then it becomes very likely that we will get a new all-time high on Bitcoin. However, if it comes back down and breaks below this low, as I said, my first target will be $62,500, and then if he loses this level, my bigger target will be $54,500. So with all of that said, that was mainly it for this update. As usual, I keep it very simple, and if you have any questions, I'm available inside the Discord. So see you soon everyone, and good luck.